Okay, we're going to log back in. We've completed DCPromo and we've rebooted and see some of our changes. Now notice in this case, here's our domain pirates, and we no longer have that log on locally option. In this case, we just log into the domain. So that has been modified or changed in our 2008 server. There's no local logon and there's no, real local users and groups. Now there's just Active Directory users and computers. So I'm going to go over here. Well, I guess I better let 2008 finish booting up here. Now, some people like the server manager screen that pops up. There's a lot of neat little snap-ins here. I gotta get my hourglass to go away. Things that you would normally find like in the client management consoles, but I'm gonna go ahead and check this. Do not show me this console at log on, just because kind of get that out of the way there. Okay. Waiting for all snap-ins to complete. What I want to do real quick is let's go look at our computer ID and we'll see what some of the things that have changed. See, now we're in a domain called pirates.org, and our FQDN, our fully qualified domain name, is our hostname sarah.pirates.org. And in this case, I can't change domains because I'm a domain controller. This is grayed out, and being a domain controller, I'd have to run DCPromo and demote myself before I would be able to change domains. Go ahead and close that. Let's look at some other changes. Let me go to control panel real quick. We'll make a few shortcuts to make things easier to find. I'm going to go to administrative tools. And in administrative tools, let me size all columns to fit real quick. Active Directory domains and trust, Active Directory sites and services, and Active Directory users and computers. These are our three main tools. There's lots of other tools that have been added. Let's copy DNS to, let's see anything else. I want to copy anything else there. And that'll be it for now. Okay. Okay. So now when I want to add a user, I have Active Directory users and computers. And here's my domain, pirates.org. Computer accounts I want to add, user accounts I want to add. And if I wanted to make, here's some of the objects I can make, users. If I want to, in this domain, at this level, I can create an organizational unit. I can create groups, users. Again, remember the OU was added after NT, but that gives you the ability to kind of get around having to have unnecessary subdomains. I can add an OU if I want to say organizational unit. Daytona, and I'll add another one. Let's see, someplace far away. Daytona, Seattle. And if I want to, I can delegate control of that OU to a user I've added in Active Directory users at computers. And it would be as if it were a subdomain because, that I could set that administrator up so that he or she would only have permission to add objects, modify and delete things, and apply group policy in that OU, and not anyone else's OU. So I'd have a Daytona admin and a Seattle admin. That's an example of the delegate control wizard. Now, another thing that you can do, if I check advanced features here, see how it's checked? If I don't, you can't get the DACL for your OUs, discretionary access control list. But if you do, it works just like a folder. Now, with the advanced view enabled, I'll right click. Now I actually have a DACL. So there's a security tab, and I have access control entries in a DACL. And if I were to go to advanced permissions, auditing, I have a very fine level of control, so I can fine-tune permissions on an OU. and pretty much for all intents and purposes make that a replacement for unnecessary subdomains. Now there are still reasons to create subdomains. If you have differing security policies or like, password policies, say like one domain wants password complexity, another domain wants simple passwords or something. Or if the nature of the company is that there's a subdivision that's completely different from some other part of the company, yeah, sure, you can create subdomains, but Microsoft recommends against creating too many. So that OU is a nice option, that organizational unit. Want to look at Active Directory users and computers, we also want to look at DNS. Notice DNS wasn't there before. I went to Control Panel and showed you, but let's look and see what that wizard has done. It's created for us a zone here, and we'll look at the zone type. Let's go over here, and this is an Active Directory integrated zone, and it's already configured secure dynamic updates to assist us or protect us from DNS server cache poisoning. But in Pirates.org, there's an A record for Sarah, mapping the host name Sarah to 192.168.82. That's our IP. And if we were to go in, not only are there A records, but there are SRV records or service records added. As a global catalog server, here's Sarah and Pirates.org. Kerberos password server, lightweight directory access protocol server. We have all of these, SRV records here mapping out different types of services and information in Active Directory. This is paramount, or very important, that this happens correctly when you run DCPromo. If anything goes wrong here and we don't get adequate information in our Active Directory integrated DNS zone, then when you add other domain controllers and even join workstations to the domain, they won't be able to find the services they need to perform different functions on the network. So that's it. We've taken a standalone 2008 enterprise server. We looked at making it a member server, and we talked about the differences between that and a domain controller. We gave it a static IP address. We ran DCPromo, and the wizard went through and configured Active Directory, the Active Directory database, made all of the changes necessary for this domain controller to function. One more thing I'll do. Good. Notice again, here's that sysfall folder, and that's shared out along with net logon. And here is all here would be different group policies. And group policy, it'll take us a while. We'll save that for another day. It's quite a involved subject. But we'll open up some management consoles and load the local security policy, the domain controller, default domain controller policy, default domain policy, and look at group policy. There's so much you can do with it. But just be aware, in the back of your mind, kind of store this, that this is where those policies are stored. And this is how they get replicated from server to server. These shares here on different domain controllers. Okay, thank you very much, and I will see you later.